Okay, we are here with our next stranger. I'll ask you one question, then we'll just go from there. So, what is your name? Where did you meet me? And tell us a little about yourself.
All right. My name is Isak, and I met you at Omegle, I guess it's called. You were my actual first person, which is
Really?
yeah, because you skip a whole lot of bits before getting to actual conversation. So yeah, you're my first actual person on Omegle for tonight. Um, and yeah, what do I do or who am I? I am studying computer security. Um,
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's what I do. I've been working with a lot of computer stuff, but finally trying to get into security. Yeah,
Wow. Is that like counterterrorism kind of stuff? Or
it could be. Uh, what I want to be is what's called a penetration tester. Uh, sounds
that's a
funny, but
great
it's
title. Great job
yeah, yeah,
title.
yeah, yeah. So most people, I guess, would rather use the ethical hacker name rather than pen tester. Yeah, so I'm from Norway, and yeah, that's me.
Have you always lived in Norway?
Yeah, I've always lived in Norway, but in September I'm going to move to Wales, to a tiny or rather small city called Trefrist, to finish my bachelor's in computer security.
Wow. How did you get into computers, and is that like that runs in your family, or do you have a cool story about it or something?
Um, I remember my dad bought a computer when I was 5 years old, I think. We were pretty early on the internet because he used to work for an internet service provider. So when I was 6 or 7, we got dial-up modem, and I remember spending some time in chat rooms, um, and playing games. Yeah, I remember my father was a bit afraid of the way I raged whenever I would like lose or die or something. And I used to play a lot of Commander Keen, for those who know. Um, and every time I died, I would get increasingly angry, and my dad would like get increasingly worried at the same time. So I guess that's where it started. And I got my own computers, just started building my computers, and I was always interested in like the security part of it. So I would try to make my own viruses to play like pranks on friends and family and see what happened. And at high school, or our equivalent of a high school, I installed a virus that would steal passwords from my peers, uh, which might not be that ethical. um, but yeah, that's my like beginning into the security part. So I used to be a prankster, and I still think that is really like cool and interesting, and it was sort of my way into computers. But then again, I am like insanely interested in the whole security part around Internet of Things and computers in general. So yeah, that's what I do.
Are you like are you like caught up on kind of the state of internet security these days? Like, is it really like an open field where they're just like tons of countries just like attacking each other, or
Pretty much. Yeah, I'm fairly updated. Uh, uh, yeah, I guess I read more like normal news, but I also read some cybersecurity news, and I listen to a lot of podcasts to like have a finger on the pulse of computer security. Um, and I think it's immensely interesting how the wars are getting more and more like quiet. You can't really hear it, but it happens still uh, in Ukraine, for example. They had a massive power outage because of Russian hacking uh, the power system, and yeah, you have things like Stuxnet, where allegedly the US and Israel attacked Iran's uh, what would you call it? There are like some centrifuges that are used to get urane or something for
Oh yeah,
making.
yeah, like the nuclear material or something they attacked with.
Correct. Yeah. So they destroyed those centrifuges over a period of many years before they actually found the malware that did it. And those are the things that we know about because they went wrong at a certain point. So I'm just thinking, how many insanely clever solutions have nation states or companies come up with to hack things um, to make access to get access into things that everyone uses, such as encryption methods and routers and such. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's super interesting, and I think everyone would find it at least slightly interesting if they knew how vulnerable we all are and uh, how deep the rabbit hole goes honestly.
Man, dude,
So
that's
yeah,
cool. That's really. Is there a podcast that you'd recommend people listen to that I can put in the description?
definitely. Check out actually a couple of podcasts. The first one, which is my favorite, I've heard every episode, is called Darknet Diaries, um, with the host Jack Resider. It's just so good. He has security professionals on more or less every episode, and they describe their daily life and like the most insane episode they've encountered. And yeah, it's really good. He also has an episode on the Stuxnet attack that I just described on Iranian like refinery facilities.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's the first one. Everyone should listen to it. And he describes mostly in layman terms the attacks and the things that are going on. The second one that I find pretty good is called Hackable. Um, it's a
Hackable.
hackable as in something is hackable.
I see.
Um, yeah, short episodes. At least after the first season, they get way better, in my opinion. They're a bit dry or something. I don't know. Yeah, the first season. So after that, it gets really good about car hacking and such.
Oh
It's really
wow,
cool.
that's
Is it
so
okay if I
cool.
open a beer?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. I'm gonna drink some of my good old fashioned water.
Ah, yeah, it's just as good, better. Some might
Cheers.
say. Either almost.
Dude, so I'm a professional actor, and which is a very, very different job from, computer security. I mean, this is the extent of my technical knowledge, is like hopping on Omegle and Zoom and stuff. But I've always, like, next summer, it's part of, like, I'm part of a program here in Florida. And next summer, we're going to be going to London and stuff. And I've always really wanted to go to Scandinavia, like Denmark and Sweden, Norway, Finland. And are there places there that you'd recommend going?
um, okay, so what I've found from my travels is that major cities are cool in their way. Every city has like their certain kind of vibe to it, I guess, which resembles the country in a way, and it resembles the people that are living there and the businesses. But if you really want to see a country, if you really want to see how a place is, you should rather go to the countryside or yeah, somewhere else in the city. So if you go to Norway, Oslo is pretty cool. It's where I live, but I would rather go further north. I would go to um, yeah, just different places. I wouldn't stay in Oslo for more than a day or two unless you're like really into cities or I don't know. So yeah. In Sweden, I've been to Sweden many times, mostly just shopping there because it's cheaper.
Oh,
Um, Denmark is awesome. I think Copenhagen might be one of my favorite cities in Europe. It's
why
really
is
good.
that? Why?
It's beautiful architecture. And I don't know, people are just really friendly. And yeah, it's also, it feels similar in one way to Norway because we're Scandinavians and I guess our mannerisms or the way we think is slightly similar. But it's also very different. Um, it's so flat there, you know. Norway is like we
Oh,
have fjords and we have mountains,
mhm.
but Denmark, it's like the highest mountain in Denmark is like 100 meters high or something.
Dude, I
It's
thought that.
insane.
Wow, that's great. I thought that Denmark was mountainous, just like all of the other Scandinavian.
No, it's
Wow,
flat. Yeah,
interesting.
it's like Netherlands as well. If you have you been to Europe at all?
Yeah, I was in France like 20 years ago, and then I performed in Edinburgh like 10 years
Right.
ago. But really, since then, like I haven't been back. So I'd love to go to what I'm kind of planning is going to London, spending time there, and then checking out Switzerland and northern Italy, and then Slovenia. Not many people talk about
Nice.
Slovenia, you know.
Yeah, I played a concert there.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot to mention I, like many Norwegians, I play in a metal band.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I think I played in Slovenia. Honestly, the tour was kind of a mess. We played 25 concerts in 30 days, so I don't actually remember all the countries. No,
What
it's not that important.
was that recently or when?
2015, October 2015.
So what's the story behind that? Are you continuing to rock on, or are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Due to studies and stuff, I haven't really been able to do much recently though, and you know, personal life gets in the way and stuff happens. So we were way more active a few years ago, uh, but we have an entire new album that's coming out soon and everything.
What's
So
the
that's
name of
cool.
your band? Is that okay if I put that on?
Yeah. Of course,
Cool.
that's fine. Yeah, it's Sphere, as in a sphere.
Sphere. Okay.
Yeah. So Sphere and NO as in Norway. After you'll find it on Spotify and everywhere.
Awesome.
So yeah, the album on Spotify is from 2012. I think we did a remix in 2015, so that might be the one that's out. Jesus, it's been such a long time. I can't believe it. We started writing the second album immediately, and we're still not out. It's
Dude,
funny.
it's crazy. Like, I'm like almost 30 now, and it's crazy just how, like, graduated college, 2013, and I'm thinking, like, what what have I done? What have I done the last few years?
Yeah,
Like, time just flies.
it does. It does indeed. Very, very much so. So, how old would you guess I am?
I'd guess 30.
Yeah, I hate getting that question, so you don't have to answer that.
I'd guess 31 actually.
All right. Yeah, it's pretty close. I'm 30.
Are you 30? All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. It's nice. I think actually you're the first person that I'm talking to who is like who I don't know who is around the same age as me. So it's
All right.
and I don't know. I can kind of sense that kind of experience groundedness from you too, which is pretty cool. It's relaxing,
Okay.
like yeah. Um,
So you've mostly spoken to younger people?
yeah. So yeah, mostly like the youngest person I've talked to who I wasn't able to record because for one reason or another was like a 13-year-old black girl from Chicago, inner city Chicago, and I've been talking to like mainly from 16 to 20-year olds,
All
um,
right.
and it just seems like the people who are on here tend to be younger, which is understandable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only kind of older people are the ones who are jacking off. So so I'm not
Looking
going to
for
be
younger people.
asking, yeah, I'm not going to be asking them for an interview. But
I get that. Although I guess you should get input from all sides, you know.
yeah,
You
exactly. Yeah.
should.
Yeah, it's true. I'm trying to, it would be something like eventually I would really love to like try to raise money from this to like get a camera to then go to like people who don't have access to a camera, like homeless shelters, um,
Right.
soup kitchens and places like that where I can talk to people who we're just so divorced from in our normal lives, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
try to bring that into the mainstream because we don't hear about that stuff on mainstream media ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
We don't. Yeah.
it's
I
kind of
think this is a brilliant idea.
thank you, man. Yeah, I'm one. It's one person at a time. Um, it's a slow, it's slow. It's a slow process, but you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Um,
No, it wasn't.
but
No, but yeah,
yeah, go for it.
your acting thing. How long have you been an actor?
Oh well, I've been acting consistently since I was 14 years old. Like I've always been in a show.
Damn.
I've always been in a show except between 2017 was probably the worst year for me. Because a theater I was working with off Broadway, their rent was so high, it was like $30,000 a month, and
Shit.
it was a small theater, and they shut down the Pearl Theater, and on 42nd Street, and after that, that was kind of like my long game plan is like I was like working with them and they're a world renowned theater company and that was my in and so then after that I was like I just all I want to do is act and places that can allow me to act and
Yeah.
um is actually grad school here so I applied to grad school and was lucky enough to be accepted into this pretty prestigious small program and
Awesome.
everything has kind of been up in chaos because of COVID, but you know,
Shit.
it's learning experience.
Yeah. Definitely. So yeah, you're mostly then like a theater actor, right?
Yeah, mainly. I would love to do film, but it's a very different kind of business. Um, all different casting directors, all different directors, and the acting itself is way more subtle and like playing to a camera that's 5 inches away is very different from talking to 500 people in an amphitheater. You know,
Of course. Yeah. You have to exaggerate every
yeah,
emotion.
yeah, and while
Yeah.
still trying to remain authentic, it's like that. It's literally the hardest thing you can do. Like, how do you remain
That's a balance.
exactly? Yeah, the ultimate balance.
Yeah.
It's fun though. It's a challenge, and I love a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like it.
You know what I mean?
That is
But
really cool. Yeah.
what about like current like news and stuff in Sweden? Are you like what is the topic that's being discussed or debated now in Norway?
Yeah. Well, well, it's hard not to mention COVID, of course.
Yeah, well,
We were really early with responding to it, at least compared to Sweden. We like to comparing ourselves to Sweden.
yeah, yeah. Sweden kind of fucked that up, didn't they?
They, well, yeah, I guess most people that are not Swedes would agree, and a lot of Swedes agree as well. But if you check like online forums and everything, I guess it would be hard for you as it's mostly in Scandinavian languages. But um, there are many Swedes that are still like defending the entire keeping everything open and just having a lot of people die kind of way of doing it, which is not great. Um, and yeah, we're starting to open up. Like we just we first started with opening up the pubs a couple of weeks ago, and then we just opened up so they are like open their usual opening hours. And the last I heard was that the latest people who's been infected has been infected at home or by people they know. So people are not actually getting infected in
Mm.
Norway, like in public, which is great. So uh, things here are going great, but then again, you also hear about a potential like second wave, and
Sorry, that was my alarm.
it's fine. It's fine. What's the alarm for?
Good question. It just has been going off for the last like 2 weeks at 3:15, and I keep forgetting to turn it off. So, and I'm gonna. So, yeah, it was from
You
like
should
two
do
weeks
it
ago.
now.
What that?
You should just do it now.
What? I like the way you're thinking, Isaac.
Uh, it's like a thing I've read on Reddit 100 times, which is a good life pro tip. If something takes less than 2 minutes, you should just do it immediately.
I think that's such an important life hack that I still need to learn big time.
Yeah, I think it's more of a practice than something you can learn. It's like something you have to actually remind yourself of.
Mm.
So yeah, the news, COVID, definitely a big thing. I'm not that super interested in politics, to be honest, but it's hard not to get kind of pulled into the whirlpool these days. There's so many
Hmm.
things going on. So of course, American politics is always a big thing. Um, it's weird when well, I can only speak for me and my friends, but when we talk about American politics, it's almost as if we're talking about our own politics. It's sort of
Why
like
is that?
yeah, it's because you're so influential.
Wow.
You're so influential. Like, listen to my accent. Is it British English or is it American English? Well, I guess I have some of both, but it's definitely more American English.
No.
And um, I don't know, just everything about the US affects all the other countries, at least in the Western world, um, both because of movies and series, but also because of the economy, which greatly affects the euro. We don't have euros in Norway, though. We have our own our own currency.
What is it? The Kronig? Is that the?
Kroner or
Oh,
kroner.
Kroner. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really close actually. So yeah, the Swedes and the Danes and everyone else has gone over to the euro. We're not in the EU, so we
You
need
guys
the
are stubborn.
yeah, we're stubborn. We're stubborn. We have the oil, and without the oil, I'm sure we would be in the EU, and yeah, we would not be the main beneficiaries. So I don't know.
What do you think is the best part of Norway? Like, if you were from any other country looking in, and what makes you guys kind of the exception in the world?
So that is a really great question. I think. I think there are a couple of things, but first of all, we have very little. We're like on top of the list of not having um, corruption. So we have a great deal of belief in our political system, the police, and the political parties. So I don't know. I think that is really important with Norway. We listen to our governments in a fairly high degree. So yeah, at least the way I see it, that's number one.
I
Again,
think I completely I just want to say I completely agree. I mean, if you go to my first video on this channel, it's what I am talking about is anti-corruption is the only way to move forward, to rebuild trust in our institutions. That's the only way that we can gain respect internationally and at home. And I guess I wonder, what do you think are the things that you guys do in Norway that contribute to that trust in government? Like, are there policies? Like, what are the policies? What's the method there?
well, we're like socially democratic, or we're I'm not sure actually if socialists are the right word, but we are at least more red leaning, or like more towards a system that takes care of the weak, which I very much agree with. I'm sure not everyone does that, but I would argue that that's one of our strengths, and that's also what happened when we found oil in the 70s or whenever. I should know that history better. Rather than having a few families or a few companies getting all the profits, we made um, the foreign fund, the oil foreign fund. I don't know what it's called even in English, but it's the biggest fund in the world right now, and that is due only because of the way we handled our money, or the way we handled all the oil, and the way we invested our money. So I think that's, yeah, rather than having done it the way Saudi Arabia did it, with having a few families and a few companies getting super rich, it kind of benefits everyone instead.
Do you have a two-party system?
No, we have numerous parties.
Well, that right there, I think, is a huge. So how does that work?
Fuck.
I'm asking you about your own political system.
Yeah, yeah. I'm honestly not the right person to ask about this, but we have
Yeah.
our law is okay. So you have Commonwealth law, which is yeah, it derives from the Old English law. Most Commonwealth countries have this law system. In Norway, we have um, no, wait, I might have I might have mixed those two up. That doesn't matter. In Norway, we have a mix of Old Northern law. So we have what is called Stortinget, which is from Viking days, where all legal troubles were sorted out in like a early kind of democratic way, I guess. And we have part that and part like democracy, with a political system in sort of a similar way as you do, with parties and everything. But the deciding politicians are like segmented. So depending on how many votes each party gets, you have like a combination of those parties together.
Mm, that's smart.
So
I think, yeah,
that's how I understand it, at least. And I am not a politician at all, and I honestly don't care that much for politics, which
well,
is perhaps weak. I don't know.
but what it sounds like though is that you still understand kind of the history of it, and that's important to how your government is today. And I don't know, like that's kind of how I was hearing it.
Yeah,
And I am concerned here in this country that people don't know, they don't know anything about, like half of our country doesn't vote in the presidential election. You know,
yeah,
I
that's
think
bad.
that shows that people don't think that anything can change. I think that
Yeah,
what that shows, um, and I'm concerned about that. Um,
yeah. Well, the issue with having two like options to choose from is that it's the same thing you do with kids. If you want to control a kid, you give them two options. Do you want to go to bed, or do you want to brush your teeth first? So that's kind of the trap. You don't give people the option to have like a third or fourth option.
it's like
You
almost like
just
an
give them two.
ultimatum. It's like living in a
Yeah, it's an
continual
ultimatum. Yeah,
ultimatum.
yeah, yeah, it is. And
Huh.
I guess your main issue is, as you said, corruption, but also corruption like systematically with lobbyism, which is insanely retarded, which is a bad word. I shouldn't say that. Silly, stupid. That's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
PC.
yeah. It's a little more PC,
Yeah,
yeah. I understand the sentiment and intention. This is something that I'm interested in too, right? Like that maybe I wonder like how many people are watching this video and agree with everything you say until you say a word that they find offensive. And it's like, oh no,
yeah,
I can't believe
yeah,
and but I think what's so important is and this is part of what this experiment is all about for me, is
yeah,
when you're in conversation with someone, it's important to look at what the intention behind the words are, because not everyone is perfect with words, especially when
yeah,
you're halfway across the world and we come from completely different backgrounds, that we're still
yeah.
able to understand what the intention is behind the thought. I think that is the ground level that we need to kind of
It
get to.
is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I completely agree. That is also a thing. Uh, it's my second language. I believe I speak English fairly well, but again, sometimes I remember an example. I had an American girlfriend when I was like 17, and they were going. Her father told me that they were going up to like a mountain place in Norway, and I had been there, and it was really windy. And in Norwegian, wind would be like directly transferred to blowing. So I said that, oh yeah, it totally blows up there because it was so windy. So things can get, if you, at least if you translate it like directly, things would get totally lost in translation. And I remember his reaction was like, okay, yeah, we're going there and we rented a cottage and it's supposed to be really nice. And I didn't understand until a while later what I actually said.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be beside the point, but I thought it was a funny anecdote anyway. So yeah, regarding, for example, the word retarded, uh, it's something I've said since I was a kid because it used to be okay to say it. In Norwegian, it wouldn't be retarded; it would be mongo, which is it's like a way of saying mongoloid, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it was completely okay to say. Well, okay, I don't know what the parents or siblings of actual mongoloids would think about it, but no one would at least like arrest you for saying it or be angry. And suddenly it's not okay to say it. And if you haven't been paying attention to what's okay and not okay to say, you could be saying something and not meaning anything like bad with it. As you said, your intentions could be pure, or yeah, you can mean something completely different, but in the mind of the people listening, you would create a picture that is offensive and bad, and you're judged by others people opinion of a word rather than the intention behind the word, which I understand because words can really hurt, but I think it should also be it people should be mindful of the feelings that arise inside them when they hear stuff and decide how to react based on the meaning behind it from the person who utters the words, rather than just jumping to the assumption that it's a malicious utterance or whatever. Yeah.
I think you're hitting the nail right on the head. I think it's an important duo that needs to be understood. I think it's important to understand another person's intentions in language when someone's talking, but it's also important to be aware of how your words affect other people, and
Right.
to be sensitive to that, but to also and to know when to apologize, but also to know when what you're saying is what you're really saying. And I think that's a way to kind of move forward and to also strengthen another person's argument, because if you have
Yeah.
belief and continue to kind of work through your language, and it can help refine your argument, your thoughts, and it can also help to also inform other people's thoughts and opinions of things.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
I think
That
we're
is
in the
the
same boat.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think
Yeah.
we're in the same boats, but I have to say that that's the other kind of coin of the medallion. Being mindful of what you're actually saying and how the other person can interpret it, because it's the same with like texting or writing things. It's really hard to interpret what you actually mean, and for some people it can be hard to understand the context, or they might be from a different place, so perhaps don't yeah, try to, I don't know, try to be receptive of other people's sensitivities, or yeah.
I think moving forward with this thought too is like one thing that I really care about with this is how do we bring more people in who are kind of like because I don't think that it like right now we live in a world that's very polarized, like conservative and liberal, right? They say, but I think it's more of a spectrum, like I've been saying, of people who listen and people who don't listen.
Mm.
And I think that the people who are kind of in the middle, who are just kind of learning how to listen and dealing with the things we've been talking about, I think that it's our responsibility to try to reach out to those people and work through our own uncomfortable feelings and thoughts to try to get them, those people who were on the fence, to realize that communication and talking through, even if it makes you seem like a complete idiot, you know,
Yeah.
that's where I think that if we need to be not afraid to look like complete idiots to be able to reach out and communicate that talking and conversation is the way to achieve peace and is the antidote to hate. That's my
Yeah.
that's kind of my big idea.
I agree with that. And I guess a proof of it would be the entire thing around what fear is, because I think a lot of racism, for example, is fear and uncertainty about the unknown, and that's where you get I can't think of his name, but the African American fellow who would hang out and talk to KKK members and actually turning them and getting them out of the movement. Um, and that's all about just talking to people and informing the ignorant people. Of course, it kind of sounds like I'm saying that like Democrats are woke and listening, and the conservatives are the opposite and they're not listening. But
And
I don't
yeah,
think that at all. I think both are important. It's important to have cognitive dissonance to grow, because you can't. Yeah, it's like having one shop in town. It would be super expensive and it would suck. Having two shops with different ideals and different um, products, they would have to combat each other and they'd have to come up with new ideas and keep growing. And I think it's the same with both political ideas and I don't know, everything.
dude, man, I did not expect to get into an awesome political discussion, but this is
Me
awesome.
neither.
It's like philosophical. It's great. I love that. Yeah, before we get going, do you have any other thoughts or feelings that you'd want to say, or anything that you want like people in the world to know about that we may not? Big question. Big question.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't
yeah.
have to.
Uh,
No pressure.
everyone dreams of having like the moment where they can like say stuff. Uh, no, I don't know. I think people are making great decisions when they are informed, and I think the source of information is super important. So my mom just started using Facebook, And okay, so she's sort of alternative, which is fine, but alternative people also have. Well, wait, okay. Alternative might mean something else in a region. So she's quite spiritual, is the word, and she's not really critical of sources. So when she posts like an article about something, it can be just completely uh, off the rails, in my opinion. And I go in and look at the sources, and they're like sources, but they're off of the same author, just another article in another weird online paper or
Mm.
something. So yeah, be critical, be critical, and be informed. I don't know. It's weird that I said that because I'm not informed at all when it comes to politics and stuff. But I also try not to talk too much about things that I don't know. Although I feel like I've been doing that this entire evening. But
Well, I mean, this was really awesome. It was awesome. Thank you for agreeing to come on and
thank you for having
yeah,
me.
yeah, man. So I'll end this and then I'll send you an email with a link and it should be up in the next like 15 minutes. So
Wow, cool.
yeah,
Thanks.
man, quick turnaround.
Yeah.
All right, talk to you soon, man. It was awesome.
You too.
Take
Yeah, good
care.
luck. Bye.
Thanks.